Hey guys, welcome to another episode of The Link Up. Today you're getting bonus value, 2 for the price of 1, as we chat to the Red Bull Drift brothers. It's so cool to be here with Joe and Eli from Red Bull Drift Brothers. Thanks so much for taking your time out to chat with us today. Let's get straight into it, why don't we, and talk about Drift Masters this season. Obviously, it was cut back to only 1 round. Can you tell us a bit about how that went for you?
Well, that was a tough one, like a tough one from the get-go. Even starting with the preparation, right? As rules and regulations changed for this season in Drift Masters, we knew that Eli's car, sadly, was not eligible for competition, the E30, as it is using an E60 rear axle. So we had the challenge of coming up with a solution there. Very short notice, sort of, sadly. But Eli, we got nice little drifting community story there to tell, because a guy from Switzerland just called us after we did a live stream, I think, on Insta talking about that issue as well, and he just offered his car. So
wow.
So Alok called us and said, hey, you're missing a car, take mine. And we first off were like, is he for real? And then it took us like 3-4 days to really get it, and then we called him back and talked all the details, and in the end, like I think another 3 days later, I picked up his car in Switzerland, an S14 with a 2JZ engine, and we brought it to our workshop here, and we started to prepare it for Drift Masters.
Wow, so you had never driven it before competition in Riga?
I drove it once, but only on a more or less car park-ish size track, so second gear.
and also not really in the finished state of it, right? Suspension was different, a lot of parts changed, so the real first laps Eli got to do were actually then in Riga in practice. And the car obviously gave some trouble there as well, so he ended up having his 3rd lap, I think, or something in qualification.
The 4th. So I had 3 in practice, and then my 4th and my 5th were qualification. But actually, the nice thing was that we used the suspension more or less the same as we had in Joe's car. So the track day performance system with the ST coilovers. So we had already some knowledge about how to set it up. And I really could feel it. Like when I stepped in the car and drove it, it was handling quite well. It was just for me to adjust to everything. Like it was a totally different car than the E30. It was a different engine. First time that I drove a turbo-powered car. So I had to adjust to all these new factors. And also Riga is not the easiest track. So there are almost no runoffs. There are walls. It is high speed, so it was quite a challenge, but I really enjoyed it. Like honestly, it was great.
And Eli actually knocked his 2nd qualification lap really out of the park, scoring 89, really high
89,
score.
Wow.
Really good run. So we both did okay. They changed the qualification format this year as well, so I managed to qualify with my 1st run, and Eli then with his 2nd run, and from there on out, it kept getting more challenging in Riga. So the battle practices again went pretty well. We managed pretty good accomplishments with our setups and settings and everything. So we were quite, I would say, happy, confident going into the battles. Me meeting Max Heydrich, the other German driver in Drift Masters, and had a pretty good lead run. I think we were like almost the last battle in the top 32. He hit me at the very end of the run on the front wheel. And I already felt, it was quite, a good hit there. And the steering wheel was also already turned like almost half a rotation. So I was like, this is not too good. Went back to the starting line, told the marshal to check it. Visually, he couldn't see the damage But as sadly we had to find out there wasn't damage. The alignment was completely off, sadly on the left wheel, which is the wheel that is the most relevant in the first turn, which is a really fast one. And as Eli mentioned, no runoff zones in Riga. So in my chase run, the second I touched the foot brake to left foot brake after the initiation behind him, the car just turned left and put me right into the wall at pretty substantial speed. And sadly, as of today, we're still not sure if we can save the car. It might be a write-off totally. So it was the end of my weekend.
Yeah.
And Eli had a very, very tough going against the next opponent, Peter Winczek, who drove incredibly. I mean, he's one of the best drivers out there anyway. But Eli did a very, very good job. But it was still great to see everybody out there, see the development all the teams have put into their programs, into their cars. Everybody stepped up the game big time. I think there were some amazing battles. I think it was a really, really good show for the fans as well. And so we're stoked for 2020 season, hopefully with a couple of good surprises on our side as well.
Yeah, definitely. I know you guys have such a reputation for being so consistent and, you know, really always smashing out those results. So the tough weekend like that is really, it makes a huge impact for you when the season is only cut down to one round this year. So I can imagine it's tough for you to handle. Joe, what are your plans for next year if the car is a write-off? Will you build something completely new, or what's your plans moving forward?
I mean, the cars we've been using for the last years and pretty much all of our drifting time are quite old by now. So I think we built my car, Eli, back in 2011, right? 10, 11?
Yeah.
And it's been on track ever since. So it's really old and tired. Has been anyway before the crash. Now it might be actually out of the game plan.
I mean, anyway. and that was a huge crash. We all saw it on live stream. We're really glad to see you walk away from that. I mean, it was horrendous.
Thanks. So yeah, we're really keeping all fingers crossed that we can present something new in terms of the car side of things for next year. It's not 100% confirmed yet, but we got some ideas. We have some discussions right now, and really hope for actually also the first drift cars that we can build from scratch.
Do you want to talk us a little bit through that reliability that you've had? You said you've been running that car for so many years now and you never have any issues with it. We know that you use Robbie Thornton from Track Day Performance, and he comes to you at every event, he comes with you to every event, which is quite unique because not everyone brings a tuner with them to the likes of Drift Masters, paying for him to travel around all of Europe. So can you talk us through a little bit about how you get that reliability from your vehicles?
Absolutely. I'm going to hand over to Eli there in a second. Just one thing, Robbie has become more than just a tuner for us, and his background and knowledge and all his experience he brought to the table from when we first met, it developed into him being a part of the family pretty much, to be honest. And
so as Joe already said, Robbie is way more than just a tuner for us. And when he came to us and into the team, so it was we got to know each other when we first got his kits, like the Excel kits, the front kit for Joe's car. And then we finally met in person in the UK at the Autosport convention. And there we, first time sat down, had a lunch together. And after that, he said, "Okay, guys, do you already have a partner for ECUs?" And we were like, "No." "Okay, let me introduce you to Link." And ever since then, we're partners. And from that on, it was the first time for us that we had an ECU like that. So he helped us out with building the harnesses and tuning the cars, obviously. But more than that, he taught us to use the data logging and use the analysis of the data to see if something is going wrong slightly and prevent damages. So ever since he's with us, we unfortunately had 2 engine damages, but not due to the ECU. It was 2 times mechanically.
From, I think, pretty much the first time we went out there, we started to trying to understand what are the elements you can control, because there are a lot of elements you cannot control in motorsports. So we try to focus on those we can control. And Robbie, obviously, with his experience in more than 25 years in motorsports, I think, rally and whatnot, brought a lot of additional perspectives on predictive maintenance, on just approaches and strategies in a race weekend, in communication. And I think it's pretty much the sum of all that resulted in us being able to do what we've been able to do the last couple of years.
Let's talk a little bit about that team that you have around you. So you guys have been drifting for more than 10 years, for a really long time, and I'm guessing that you started in the sport like anyone else. You thought it would be cool to give it a go, and now you're here with a Red Bull supported team. You have a big transporter. It's the business, like you're really doing it. Can you explain a little bit about how you guys built that team around you and ended up where you are today?
It really began out of pure passion and love for dynamic driving. And we did not have any financial background to really set us up in a motorsports direction. So we started off with our daily driven 318 IS E30s. 136 horsepower. Those were our first vehicles for that. And our first actual drift car was a 250 euro E30 325, which Eli drove in competition, in pro competition, all the way up to, what was it, 2013? And we drove to the events and back with the car. Stuffed all kinds of tires in the trunk, and that was our team and our transport and everything. That was it. So we very quickly understood, for one, man, this is addictive. Like, after we got to know the community in drifting, everybody was so welcoming. It feels just like a big family with everybody. Everybody's so helpful, open, and welcome. It's incredible. So we knew, okay, this is trouble. We're addicted to this. We don't really have the budget to do this. So let's try to find ways to still do it somehow. And this is how the whole journey started. We then came up with this car that was sort of unique to be outstanding besides performing on track, and started adding small partnerships here and there that helped us out financially to take this next step. And in the same time, organically, without us being in a position where we're like, we need to recruit somebody to help us, because it became more and more work, obviously, on different corners of running a drift team at the end of the day. It was not just in the workshop and on the cars, it was also in the back office with communication, social media. Tough times came more than often. And so everybody in the whole Huntonji family was there from the get-go as well. Like, our mom, our dad were supportive all the way. My sister and my dad are also part of the team and take care of a lot of things for us and help us wherever they can. So it just kept growing and growing, and we were so happy and amazed that we then at some stage got the chance of speaking to Red Bull about the sport and elaborating on what could it be, what does it need, and how can it reach the potential it has, obviously. And then a couple of years later, actually got those babies, and becoming Red Bull athletes was just huge for us. And also, it's still tough for us though. Even though we are Red Bull athletes and have a lot of support, it's still very, very tough. And if I look back, think like, man, a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of tears, a lot of sweat went into this. But at the end of the day, I wouldn't want to change a thing, really.
Yeah, it's a pretty amazing success story, right? And obviously Drift Masters, Red Bull Drift Masters is an amazing event now. I'm sure that is absolutely spectacular to be a part of. But you get to do a lot of other events too. I've seen you, I think, even taking Max Verstappen for a ride. So what's like the coolest event that you've done, or the best experience you've had in drifting?
So I think you already mentioned the one. It was our probably the first time when we've been invited to the F1 Grand Prix in Austria. I think this was probably the most unreal experience for me, because normally F1 drifting, making black marks on a F1 Grand Prix circuit, no. We were allowed to go there, but the FIA was like really strictly looking at us and telling us you don't make black marks here and there and so on. And we had a good plan, and the best feeling was after the rehearsal we've done then on track. They were standing on the fence and clapping at us and showing thumbs up when we came back. So they were super stoked with the show we did there. And that was awesome. And then just, 1 year later, we had Max and Daniel Ricciardo in our cars, driving with them around the track. And both of them enjoyed it like hell. And I wasn't sure, they go double or triple the speed we go.
And it was wet. It was raining.
Exactly. It was rainy. So I was like a bit, probably it's too boring for them. But they were enjoying it like hell. And it was also really, really awesome.
Yeah, it's amazing to see the sport growing at the rate that it is, and we're really pleased as Link ECU to be a part of what you guys do, because you're a massive part of helping that sport grow. So we better leave it here for today. We were going to talk about a new build that you've got, but I think we've run out of time. So maybe do you want to just quickly tell people how they can follow that build on YouTube?
Yeah, I mean, the S14 build is already out there. We just started our YouTube channel pretty much, and I think it's not saying too much that staying tuned is a good idea, because as you already mentioned, there will be some more stuff coming up soon involving building new vehicles, I guess, as a teaser. But we have quite some more ideas on what to share with everybody out there through that format. So yeah, looking forward to catching up with you as well soon. And until then, obviously, follow us on Red Bull Drift Brothers on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube.
Yeah, also I'm sure there is a lot of exciting content to come in the build up to that 2021 season. So thanks very much for your time, guys. Really appreciate it, and appreciate the insight that you gave this evening.
Thank you. Thanks for
having us.